Welcome. We're continuing at the very end of Daf Yud Daled Amud Beis. It's 14b. Safte Brachos. We are talking about leaning, Shema without tefillin, and how it's inappropriate, and whether it's false testimony or it is like bringing a carbon and you're missing the components of the libations of the wine and so on. But here, Rabbi Yechanan said, another teaching from Rabbi Yechanan. If somebody wants to accept upon himself completely, properly, the yoke of heaven, which means you want to say Shema the right way, Yifne, you should relieve himself, go to the bathroom. The Yitol Yodav, wash your hands. The Aniach tefillin, put on tefillin. Yesterday about the order and why the order was done in certain ways. Point is, you want to do it correctly. Make sure your body is clean, which means the bathroom. Wash your hands, put on tefillin, say Shema Nesrei. This is considered to be appropriate or complete, accepting the yoke of heaven. Said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Kol hanifne v'neitel yodav, anyone that anyone which again relieves themselves and then washes their hands and puts on tefillin and leins shema and davens in that order. The pasuk considers it as if he built a mizbeach, hikrev of carbon, and you brought an offering to Hashem on this mizbeach. What's the connection? The pasuk tells us in Tehillim that I washed my hands with cleanliness, and I circled the mizbeach of the Eibishter. The point is that it's compared to a mizbeach, and we consider it as if you brought a carbon. Does he not hold that it's not just like you washed your hands? It's as if you went to the mikvah. Not just the mizbeach, it's as if you went to the mikvah. The chsiv erchatz b'din koyin because of architz kapai. It says erchatz, which brings out that you washed your whole body more than just your hands. Fine, okay. Which basically we don't really answer that, but we're saying that it's perhaps even more than just like bringing a carbon, building a mizbeach. Ravina told Rava, Chazim Mar saw Hai Tzruva Mirabanan. Tzruva is an expression which means like a sharp young student. Huh? It's usually used for young Talmud Chacham. But I saw a Talmud Chacham, the Asim Rava, which came from Eretz Yisrael. The Omar, and he said, this young Talmud Chacham, this Bacher, I guess, that came from Yeshiva from Eretz Yisrael, he said, anyone who does not have water to wash his hands, you're allowed to wipe your hands with earth or with a stone. Kismis are small wooden chips. Use some other material, wipe your hands, and then you daven because you don't have water. Omar Lei. Shapir Amar, he said he said it correctly. Why? Because it doesn't say you wash your hands with water. Rather, it says anything which cleans. So if you're using earth to wash your hands, to wipe your hands, you clean yourself, it's good enough. Obviously, you prefer water, but if you can't, you could use it. Pashtus means from the bathroom. Because till now he brought 2 or 3 sayings that he went to the bathroom and washed your hands. So you're saying before they had proper tissues and so on. There's a few levels. It's really only good for learning. For davening, you should wash your hands with water, especially if you went to the bathroom. There's 2 things. What we're saying here is the most extreme case, he went to the bathroom. But even if not, the person is about to daven, he should wash his hands. Including that as well. No. Right, he didn't have tissues. So even more so. Yeah. Right. Okay, we're going to discuss if it's Shema or Shema Esrei, when you have to wash your hands, exactly how. The Harav Chista Liyat Amad Mahadir Amaya Bidon Sleisa. The Chalali says you should know you don't have to go looking for water. If you don't have water, you could use these types of things. Because Rav Chista, he would laugh or not appreciate people that would go search for water. It's time to daven. You have a minyan and you could daven, and you decide you want to go get water. And perhaps this is even someone that wasn't in the bathroom, or especially someone that wasn't in the bathroom. He wants to have a little water. Go like this on the table and don't go start searching for water. It's something like today where every few feet you have a sink or something. If there's no water around. This all is talking about Shema, that you don't have to go searching for water. But if you're coming to Shemona Esrei, davening, that you really should search for water to wash your hands. Which is interesting because Shema is really deraisa, and Shemona Esrei, it's questionable if every day is deraisa. Huh? Yeah, but the level you're preparing yourself, one of them you say you must wash your, go search for water. One you say better not, because it's man kishma. But for davening you should go searching. How far should you go? Go up to a parsa, searching for water. And how much space is it? What distance? I don't know. I don't remember. You know what it is? Parcel? I don't think it's that much. How less? It's really not very far. I mean, if you go in those days that you have to go somewhere to get water, and the discussion is how far you should go, because there's no water within a parcel. A parcel is probably not that far for water. In other words, you can't live without water. There's going to be water somewhere. So, right. Yeah. This is talking about in front of you. So don't daven yet. Go a little further and get water. But if you're going behind you, even a mil, which would be less than a parsa, you don't go back. Which means basically like this: you're traveling or you're going somewhere. So keep going until you find water. Say Shema soon. But to go out of your way, to go backwards, which basically changes all your plans, you don't have to go back so much. Go a little bit, you know. From here we learn that for a mil, up to a mil, you don't go back. Sorry, a mil and beyond, don't go back. Less than a mil, you should go back. If it's a few blocks, so whatever the distance is, you should go back and find water. But again, this is for Shemona Esrei. For Shema, wash your hand, wipe your hands on something, and that is fine. Rashi. If you're in the cover, a person should go to the bathroom. He learns that it's like going to the mikveh, because the erchas b'din koyin, washing cleanliness. The Taki says my hands, but it says b'din koyin, that implies much more than hands. Kol aguf. It's coming to teach you to derive something from here. If someone washes his hands before davening, it's as if he washed his whole body. Again, remember those times people were not taking showers every day. It's a real cleanliness. You had a big event or something special. You went to yeah. Thank you. But in a mil would be a mile. Right. So if right there. Hello, Ray. So parsha is a half a mile, and a mil 2 miles, and a mil is a half a mile. Okay, thank you. It gives much more context to what we're dealing with. Okay. Hello, Ray, and hello, Darsh. Oh, Darshali, how are you? Okay. One more Rashi, two more Rashis. Kismis is kesam. It's like it means like a wood chip. The krishma, the idna the krishma, shezmana kavua. When it comes the time for Shema, which is a set time, you have to say Shema. Pen yavar azman. Don't go searching for water. You're going to miss the time. It's tefillah, the kol hayom zmanahu, but for davening, which technically really all day is for davening, especially if you're involved in washing your hands, then you have to go searching for water. So just to underscore, we said this many times, halachically, a person, you take a drop of water and go like this. Today we have plenty of water. You should not, normally you shouldn't have to be traveling very far to wash your hands in any way. Even if you were on a trip somewhere, you have a drop of water in a bottle, you can go like this. And daven, you're on a plane or whatever, you could say Shema. Next section. Says the Mishnah. Some of what we're going to say now we discussed or we referenced over the last 14 blot or 13 blot, but here we're going to see them in the context and completely. The Mishnah tells us, somebody that says Shema but didn't enunciate the words that his ears could hear them, he fulfilled the mitzvah. So he said Shema, but it was so quietly even you yourself can't hear it. Rabbi Yossi argues and he says Lo yatsa, he did not fulfill the mitzvah. You have to say the words and be able to hear them, not to scream, but you have to be able to hear yourself. A person said the words, but he wasn't careful in his letters. Some letters, if you swallow them, it's not a full word, or sometimes the next word afterwards, like b'chol levavchem. If you say it too quickly, you don't pay attention. You're saying b'chol levavchem. One of those words are not complete. They're both not complete. So Rabbi Yossi is more lenient, and he says, if you didn't, you still fulfilled the mitzvah. Rabbi says, no, you're not yetza. You did not fulfill the mitzvah because you didn't pronounce the words correctly. Someone that reads Shema backwards, in this place right now, let's say that it means you're going words backwards, not sections backwards. You did not fulfill the mitzvah. Cut of it, or probably psukim backward, out of order. If someone read Shema and he made a mistake, mixed up the words or whatever, go back to the place that you made a mistake. Some of the second section of Shema is similar to the first section. It's easy if you're not used to it, or if you're not paying attention to mix up. If you realize, just go back to where the mix-up place was and keep going. Rashi, to say them well with his lips, you have to enunciate the words of Shema. It's a very important part of davening. It's biblical and so on. The Gemara asks the following question: my time of Rabbi Yossi, what's the reason of Rabbi Yossi that he says that if you say Shema and you didn't enunciate the words that you could hear them, you did not fulfill the mitzvah? His reasoning is, Shema. The pasuk says Shema. Shema means hear. So you yourself also have to hear it. Let your ears hear what you're taking out of your mouth. That's the pasuk is Shema. Correct. Yeah. The Tanakama, which says that you did fulfill the mitzvah, he holds Shema b'chol lashon shata shemea. The word Shema is not coming to tell you that you need to be able to hear it. It's coming to tell you in any language that you could hear. So if you hear other languages, any language you want to say Shema, and it's perfectly fine. But it doesn't mean that you have to enunciate it, or it has to be loud enough that you should hear. But Rabbi Yossi tarti Shema mino. Rabbi Yossi learns both of these things, and he says, "How's that help us?" Rabbi Yossi argued. Rabbi Yossi says, "I learned both of them." I agree with you that you need to say that you're allowed to say Shema in any language, and so Shema teaches you that you have to say it because that's a simple meaning. And it also have to hear it, thank you. And it also means that you could say it in any language. Just the same way you learned that it means that you have to be, they can do it in any language. It's also Shema Min Nami that it means in any language that that works for you. In other words, it's not a contradiction. It's not an either or. Just to point out that when we learned this in Gemara, we were using it one against the other. In other words, the Tana that was relying, the Amira that was relying on this, we said you can't do both. We didn't say that, but we implied that. And now we're saying that Rabbi Yossi does, he learns both of these pshatim from Shema. Tznan Hassam, we learned over there that Cheresh HaMedaber, a deaf person, but he could speak. Often in halacha, when it says deaf, it means a mute, deaf and mute. But someone that could hear, that is deaf, but he could speak. He speaks, but he can't hear. Lo yitreim, you should not do the mitzvah of truma. Truma is certain tithing that you have to give us an amount to the kohen of your produce in Eretz Yisrael. And someone that is deaf and he could speak but he can't hear, he should not do truma. Now, the reason why we're bringing this here, the im toram, but if he went and did it anyways, then truma say truma, his truma is truma, which normally means that someone else should do it for him. Man tana. So what do you see from here? No, cheresh means that he. No, usually cheresh means both. Often cheresh means both. In halacha, it could mean that you don't speak or hear. And here we're saying that it's a specific type of cheresh that what's commonly used. That he can't hear. The point is that he could say the bracha, as we'll see in a minute, but he can't hear what he's saying. So you want to borrow from here and say the chatchila, you're not allowed to do it. Why? Because he can't hear what he's saying. So learn from that Shema is the same thing. You have to be able to hear what you're saying. Pasuk over there also says that a person has to pronounce or say. So you want to try to borrow from there the same teaching. Did we learn that a cheresh that speaks and doesn't hear? The eved in the chatchila loy, which means that the eved, if a person went and did it anyways, so he fulfilled the mitzvah, it's fine. The truma is valid, but the chatchila you should not go and do it. I'm sorry. The question is, if he did it, then his truma is truma. Now, the Gemara, man tana, who is the tana that said what we just said? Who is the one that said this? What's the source of this mishnah? Raisa. Amar Rav Chisda, mishnah right. Amar Rav Chisda, Rabbi Yasi. Rav Chisda said this is Rabbi Yasi. How do I know it's Rabbi Yasi? Because we learned that the Tanakh says that if you say Shema and you don't say the words out loud, you fulfilled the mitzvah. And Rabbi Yasi says you're not Yitzah. So you see that Rabbi Yasi is of the opinion, he is the author of this Mishnah, so to speak. Why? Because that's his opinion in our Mishnah. Well, it says no, one second. And bracha is only the Rabbanon. And it's not bracha, there's no mitzvah. We want to compare and say, just like in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yasi said that Shema, you have to hear what you're saying. So Truma, which is a nameless Mishnah that says that he should not do it, the Chatchila, must be Rabbi Yasi as well. And the Gemara says, no, you can't compare it because Rabbi Yasi is of the opinion that you have to hear what you're saying regarding a biblical mitzvah, which is Shema. But Truma is biblical, but the bracha is the Rabbanan. And you can't say that you don't have proof that he actually has the same opinion for Truma. Say that or to say it? No, Shema is biblical, and therefore we're careful. Yeah, well, you have to say it, you have to hear it. That's the argument. Yeah. The mitzvah to say it is biblical. Yeah. Thanks for joining. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you soon.